I don't know about you, but I'm hoping to beat the casino on my next trip to Las Vegas. So I'm learning how to play blackjack. And every time I get ready to practice basic strategy, I can't help but think of Casino, one of the best movies ever made according to yours truly. That's why I've decided to make a video listing the many reasons why this cinematic masterpiece is worth revisiting at least once a year. And I came up with 21. A coincidence? I don't think so. For starters, we have to give it to the three leading actors and the exceptionally flawed characters they play. De Niro's Ace Rothstein may look like the most collected and cool-headed one of the trio, but let's not forget he seriously believed he could buy Ginger's love with money, jewels, and fur coats. Definitely not a very smart bet. I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks this is hands down Sharon Stone's best performance to date. Besides, her character is the one that suffers the most dramatic change throughout the film. Just think of the Ginger we first see throwing gaming chips up in the air, and then fast forward to the end of the movie, when we see her dying all alone in that overlooking corridor. Indeed, two very different women. As for Joe Pesci, what can I say? He gives Nicky Santoro such an edge that, as revolting as his actions may be, you simply can't get your eyes off the screen whenever he shows up. And you have to admit that regardless of his sadistic nature and limited vocabulary, Santoro's demise was extremely hard to watch. Let's talk about the 40 or so suits De Niro wears in Casino. So bold and so well pressed, no creases allowed, even if that means he has to sit at his desk in his boxers. Worth the sacrifice for Ace to look his best, worth it for us as well, who got to see De Niro's wiry legs in those knee-high dress socks. If Ace's wardrobe is impressive, Ginger's does not lag far behind. In fact, it would be hard to say which one of her outfits is the most eye-catching. But if you twisted my arm, I'd have to go with the golden dress she wears at the country club dinner. And I am not alone here. Just ask the young man who dared pay her a compliment in front of Rothstein and lost his job as a result. Surprisingly enough, and as much as both Mr. and Mrs. Rothstein have an incredibly good taste when it comes to clothes, the same cannot be said about them as interior designers. Just look at their bedroom. Surrounded by that hideous wallpaper and decor, it's no mystery that their relationship ended in disaster. Casino's soundtrack was exclusively built upon already existing songs, 76 of them to be exact. For some, the almost constant presence of loud tunes in the first half of the film may feel overwhelming. I, for one, think they make the movie feel extra busy and brimming with energy. That being said, there are two musical moments in Casino which stand out from the rest. The first one is the opening scene, in which we see De Niro's dummy blowing up, and are then invited to be amazed by the Bellagio fountains of opening credits, with those neon lights and patterns that take us straight to Las Vegas. All this while Bach's Matthew Passion takes center stage and inundates our senses. And then there is the Animals version of House of the Rising Sun, which accompanies the closing chapter of each of the characters. As with Bach's composition, this music does not just sit in the background, but fills the screen as much as the scenes it adorns. The camera work in Casino is out of this world, so tireless, so flexible, and so stylishly observant, almost invasive in a way. Forget about calm, static shots. You won't find many of those here. After all, this is Las Vegas. Yes, the double-down voiceover technique was done before by Scorsese in Goodfellas. But unlike Ray Liotta and Lorraine Bracco, De Niro and Pesci are a match made in heaven. Their explanations and comments not only enhance the storytelling, but add humor to the mix, mainly when it's time for Santoro to give us a piece of his mind, making him the funniest character both in front of the camera and behind it. There are very few movies which are justified to be 2 hours long, let alone 3. Casino is one of them. It's true that it can get a tad repetitive towards the end, when the relationship between Ginger and Ace gets extremely shaky and toxic, but it's still one of those rare movies that make you forget you own a smartphone, even if you're watching it at home and for the umpteenth time. As the fascinating 3-hour-long journey it is, Casino is packed with unforgettable moments, but I don't want to bust, so I'm only going to pick 3 of them. And why not start with the scene that takes place in the desert, which shows Ace and Nicky having a not very amicable conversation. And then, when this improvised exchange of accusations is over, Nicky drives away, engulfing Ace in a sleek cloud of sand. Another scene worth remembering is the one in which we see Ace falling in love with Ginger as Las Vegas goes silent. That's when you realize your ears have been bombarded with track after track for 30 minutes. This is like using negative space in a tattoo. Only the best know how to do it well.
I think you should definitely stop watching reruns of Being Master.
I should. The hilarious blueberry muffin scene is the best tutorial on how to make a crazy request with absolute conviction, and a must in any top 10 of movie scenes featuring food, like the one I made and invite you to check out if you're feeling hungry. Besides Ace, Ginger, and Nikki, there are 3 characters who deserve a place in this list, because they may be secondary, but they sure know how to make an impression in the little screen time they are given. Catherine Scorsese gets a smaller role in Casino than she did in Goodfellas, but the filmmaker's mother still manages to etch her performance in our memory by looking naturally and utterly shocked by her pretend son's swearing. Simply hilarious. Then comes the dumbest slot manager in Las Vegas, who believes people gotta win some time. What a pity he won't be on duty in a couple weeks, when I will be investing some of my hard-earned money in the slots. Finally, there is the not dumb at all brother-in-law of the dumbest slot manager in Las Vegas. He is a serious man asking for a serious favor and making a serious threat. Ace should have known better. Another silly bet by the handicapper and a turning point in the movie. The lights, the color, the glamour, the excess, the frenzy. Las Vegas comes to life with Scorsese's vision. And even if Sin City looks a bit different now, Casino still captures the overindulgence and decadence that the entertainment capital of the world oozes from every pore. Even though they are masterfully put together by Thelma Schoonmaker, the 1,000 pieces of which Casino is comprised make for a juicy list of continuity errors, and we have just seen one of them. The fact that Casino is based on a true story adds even more value to the movie, mainly if we consider that most of the crazy stuff they tell us really happened. Yes, also the head in the vice scene. It doesn't get more eye-popping than that. Despite it being a drama, Casino's levels of energy and the many surprises it packs make up for the bitterness. Besides, a quarter of a century after its release, Casino feels like a cinematic haven, as it is one of those movies you know will always be there to entertain you and wow you whenever new releases prove to be a disappointment. And this is how far we get today. If you think of any other reasons we should include in this list, let me know in the comments. Until we see each other again, have fun!